whatever you wind up doing is exactly what you should be doing.
And I have not behaved one single day of my life. Not one day of my life have I behaved, and I am fine.
I need your help. I can't tell you what it is. You can never ask me about it later, and we're gonna hurt some people. Whose car are we gonna take?
Thank you for joining us on the Nikki Medoro Show. Happy Valentine's Day to everyone out there.
Lover, you're so beautiful. Look at you with your red shirt.
I'm wearing red. I have my red light on. Can I just say that Ricky wins for the best comment? My eldest daughter says, "It's just another day, Dad." So I sent her a dozen roses.
Oh,
I love you. I love you. I love you.
So sweet.
Did you get anything for Valentine's Day this morning?
I have not. You know what? I got something last night.
What did you get?
Julia bought me lip gloss.
Oh.
And a little thing of makeup that she thought I would like.
That's very sweet.
It's the only thing I've received for Valentine's Day in a while, I have to tell you. Now, my husband will usually buy me flowers, but that was really nice.
Yeah.
And my mom still gets my sister and I a little something. My favorite flower is daffodil.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay,
And
daffodil.
so
Okay.
I love the way they smell like spring, and they sell them really cheaply at Trader Joe's. So my mom always gets me like a little bundle of them.
Oh, that is a good point. Yeah, I woke up this morning, almond rokas for me.
Oh, look at you!
The Safeway soft cookies that I've talked about before for Dylan and Marley.
Yeah.
And then Marley got an entire flat of ramen. And then I got a little basket of flowers, and then everybody gets a card from me, and James gave me a card as well. I haven't opened it yet. We'll just do that when he gets home from work because he leaves before I do. But it was very, very cute. And if you don't celebrate it, one of my daughter's friends hilariously said, she's like, if I see anybody walking on campus with a damn balloon, I'm gonna pop it. And I'm like, don't hate on love. You can't do that. So you guys, thank you so much for joining us. Show some love to the show by clicking the thumbs up button. The super chat is also live on this Valentine's Day, so if you want to show us some love that way as well, that'd be great. And then if you really want to love us, this is like the bound chicka wow wow love. Please go to theNikkiMedoroShow.com, theNikkiMedoroShow.com. Sign up for our Patreon.
Wait, what do we have to do?
Bound chicka wow wow. That's all you have to do. You have to click a button. I'm not asking.
So let me just get this straight. Bound chicka wow wow. You got the red light district on in the background.
There you go. It's that kind of
day. This is a racy Medoro show. I don't know.
It is. It's that kind of party. I just want to also update you guys. Again, theNikkiMedoroShow.com. That's where our Patreon is. Please sign up. If you guys remember, and I got quite the feedback yesterday on my Lenten season resolution to stop swearing. So this morning I wake up. I don't have a rubber band on. I need to go get the rubber band on. And I was like, shoot, have I cussed today? You want to know how bad it is when you don't even know if you've cussed? So I look at my daughter when I'm taking her to school this morning. I'm like, have I cussed? This morning she's like, I have no idea. And I was like, okay, well, if you don't think that I have, then I'm going to say that it's a clean slate today. So
we're going to reset starting now.
Thank you, Jim, for the $5 super chat. I hope everyone finds their Cupid. You guys are all our Cupids. We love you. Thank you. You know who else we love? He kind of looks like Cupid a little bit, especially when he wears his diaper. And that, of course, is our friend, Chip Franklin.
Dress him up. You take off the shirt.
Put on the bow and arrow.
We're going to get you all ready.
There you go. Happy Valentine's Day, friend.
The truth is, I do have a diaper on, and guess what I'm doing right now?
I can only imagine. So is this a Valentine's Day? Does Wendy, your wife, get a lot of stuff?
Me. I don't buy that crap.
Why?
No, you're very romantic.
Look, first of all, I buy my wife flowers every day.
I
treat
not.
her like gold, and I always have. So
God.
a special day comes along that's built up by Madison Avenue to sucker us into. I love the fact that Uber and Lyft are on strike today. And like people, your whole generation's like, what am I going to do? Take a freaking cab, you moron. or drive yourself and don't drink 9 beers or 9 cocktails. Jesus.
The whole Uber and Lyft thing, and they chose today, obviously, because people like to get things delivered. But here's the thing: the strike is only between 11 and 1. They're
Well,
they're
first of
they're
all, stop right
protesting
there.
pay.
Stop
What?
right there. Nobody's going to freaking strike. Have you met an Uber driver before?
Well, I mean, the ones that drive me places.
Yeah, and right. Most of them are, they're barely hanging on, right? That's why they're driving strangers around in their car. Okay. I mean, what other?
It's a side hustle. I know people that have tried to make money either doing Uber, Lyft, or like the grocery delivery, those
Yeah.
sorts of things. Hey, you get to work your own schedule. I do
Dude, I
think
had
that
a
they should pay
guy
him
once,
more,
and
but
I'm not going to say which one of the two tried to sell me Coke in San Francisco when I was I
who
took an Uber.
who did it?
The Uber, one of the two drivers. I won't say which one.
It doesn't matter because they usually do both. They usually do Uber and Lyft, so it doesn't actually matter. But if you want cocaine, apparently, according to Chip, you have to call an Uber driver.
No, I didn't say that. I am not going to get sued by Uber. I will just say, I know, it is one of those manufactured holidays. It's like, I love it too when people say, we have to have the day off after the Super Bowl should be.
Yes, we do. We do. We haven't talked since the Super Bowl, although you did text me. So thank you, my friend. No, I think that it's a national day that everybody is together watching the same thing, drinking food. Do you know how much the economy would be boosted if the next day was a holiday? People would be going to restaurants and bars, whether their team was in it, whether their team won or lost. I think we should totally do it. I think productivity is so down the day after the Super Bowl that you might as well.
Well, that's if you have a team in the game. The rest of the country, first of all, on the West Coast, the thing was over at 8:00.
I know, and I was in bed by 8:45. I was so sad. James looked at me and he's like, "You're going to bed," and I'm like, "I'm done with this day."
When my team, the last time they lost the Super Bowl in '84. Were you born yet? No.
In 84, yes, I was born.
Yes,
I was
anyway,
6.
84, we lost to the Raiders, and I couldn't look at a newspaper or listen to the news for 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah. I keep turning off the radio. The day after the Super Bowl on Monday, because I'm listening to the news on the radio, and they keep going to sports, and I'm like, click. I don't even want to talk about it. And then Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce kissing and celebrating. And although I do like them as a couple, they could shove it because my team lost. And yeah, it sucks, Chip. I don't know if I can explain to you getting so close so often and not getting the trophy.
Why, you guys have won 5 Super Bowls.
It's been 30 years, man. I mean,
I'm a Washington fan. It's been 33 years. So you haven't won since 95? Is that it? Or 94?
94. Yeah, it's 30 years. That's a long ass time. Not only that, though, it's even worse.
Nobody wants to talk about this. Do you really think? I mean, people want to hear your.
They already heard me bitching and moaning. On Monday. They already heard me bitching and moaning. So let's talk about something else. Well, speaking of losing, how surprised are you? Let's do a little bit of politics. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Is it Swoozy? Thomas?
Oh, the guy that beat
the
Santos,
Democrat.
No, Santos seat. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Santos hurt the party a lot because, he tried to be exactly like Trump.
Well, some Republicans are saying that the Republican loss that was up against, what is it, Phillip or whatever his name is, that he lost because he didn't embrace Trump enough. I mean, do you just got to bend the knee really dramatically?
I mean, did you see the interview with oh God, I can't remember his name on the Today Show? I like him a lot too. The African American guy that's on the Today Show with him. You know who I'm talking about.
On the Today Show, is that Michael Strahan?
No. On the Today Show.
That's Good Morning America. I don't know. I don't watch the Today Show. I'm doing this show.
Okay. No, you're not. The Today Show's been off now for 10 minutes.
I don't know. Not here.
Anyway, it doesn't matter. And I'll remember his name as soon as it's over. But anyway, he interviewed Nikki Haley.
Okay.
Nikki Haley, again, like all these guys, she said that they had to take a pledge, and I'm like, what is this, Scientology?
Exactly.
I mean, Democrats don't take
have a backbone.
This whole idea that you got to pledge support to Trump. And now Laura Trump is going to be running the RNC, and she says she's going to give every dollar to Trump.
Okay, since you mentioned her, I have that video. Now, I'm going to play it first, but there's one thing that really sticks out to me. And again, it's the hypocrisy and the back and forth of MAGAs where they say one thing as if it's, written in stone, and then they change their mind because it didn't actually matter.
So let's talk about the RNC.
There's Laura Trump.
Your father-in-law has endorsed you to be a co-chair of the committee. We have big problems with fundraising.
Yep.
Big problems with, I think, adapting to how I think the other
big problems with collagen in our lips.
We're now making elections less secure for their own benefit.
The election thing is what I'm
is
talking about
that
here.
if
This guy's hair dye, how much hair dye does this guy wear?
I don't even know what channel this is.
We can't win.
We can't win. Say that over and over and over
talk
again.
about what needs to change at the committee to make this party more
Can you imagine if she
because
is
I think
Ronna
after
McDaniel?
2022 with those midterms, when that went the way it did, as hated as Joe Biden was, I think we all realized we have a huge problem in the party.
He's right
what
about
needs
that.
to change, and if you get the job, what can you do?
Okay, listen to this.
Yeah, well, listen, we need to be playing chess and not checkers, and that's exactly what we've been doing. Unfortunately,
ask her what a knight does.
Democrats have been playing a completely different game. We need to catch up, and we need to outdo them at that game. We better have at the Republican National Committee a ground game operation, the likes of which this country has never seen. We better be doing voter registration in record numbers. We also better be doing legal ballot harvesting all across this country, because those are things the Democrats always outdo us on. And let's face it, Rob, we better start telling people to go vote early. We have this notion that it would be nice if we had one day of voting. I would love that. You would probably love that. We'd love to give people the day off of work, and we'd love to have paper ballots.
No, you don't.
We don't have it right now.
The Republican Party's
we
never
need to
said
bank
that.
enough votes going into election
Play
day
their game.
that we aren't trying to play catch up that day. We know things happen. Look at what happened in Arizona.
Wow.
Here's what I can tell you. The RNC needs to be the leanest, most lethal political fighting machine we've ever seen in American history. That is the goal over the next 9.5 months. If I am elected to this position, I can assure you there will not be any more $70,000 or whatever exorbitant amount of money it was spent on flowers. Every single penny will go to the number one and the only job of the RNC. That is electing Donald J. Trump as president of the United States and saving this country. We have no time to waste. We've got to get to work. We've got to.
So basically, she's just saying that to Nikki Haley. We're wasting money by being distracted by you.
Okay, so my son and I have this on. You ever heard of a comedian, Bill Hicks?
Yeah.
Who is, and my son has just fallen in love with this stuff, and he's so irreverent. Again, not safe for work. But whenever I see somebody wearing a cross, Bill Hicks has a joke, goes, "You think when Jesus comes back, he's going to ever want to see another effing cross?"
I'd be like, why is that the picture you chose? You know what I mean? No.
Well, I mean, to me, the idea when people pull in God, to try to back up whatever weak ass argument they have,
And it's Trump we're talking about here. Trump.
Yeah.
Biden has been seen in church over and over and over again. When do you ever see Trump go to church? When? When? Unless it's evangelicals praying over him.
He buried his wife on a golf course. Jeez, I mean.
That's just to hide the evidence, I'm saying. But yeah, I mean, I think that it's just they're signaling Nikki Haley drop out, drop out, drop out. I'm saying Nikki Haley don't.
She's not.
Do it.
First of all, let's be honest. Nikki Haley is just like Cruz, Graham, and Rubio. She will drop to her knees at some point. Not that metaphor. Easy up. But she will eventually kneel before Trump.
Yeah.
And you know what? And she's not Liz. She doesn't have the stones of Liz Cheney or Kinzinger or Romney. And there are others that are beginning to, but it's not enough. I mean, and the idea that she says in this interview with Craig, is his name, Craig Melfi or Melfor, something like that. Anyway, it's coming to me in pieces. You get to my age and that stuff happens. Anyway, but she's the only, do you know the only person that didn't raise their hand? Even Chris Christie raised his chubby little paw when they said, "Will you support?" The only person was Asa Hutchinson, the former governor of Kansas.
Yeah.
The only person. Everybody else, all of those pathetic sycophants, they raised their hand. And they're saying, "I will support someone who has now invited Russia to invade NATO." And when first of all, Trump lied about, he said that we've spent $200 billion. It's closer to $80 billion. Fine. Okay. But do you know how much, and this Brookings Institute did this study, if in fact Russia took over NATO, our defense spending would increase $2 to $4 trillion a year. Think about it.
Exactly. This is the cheapest way of protecting NATO and Ukraine. I mean, this is they use their own soldiers. They do everything like that.
NATO is also our family. This is our descendants.
Exactly.
They're all European. They're the people who are here.
Yeah.
And And of course, I mean, of the 500,000 people that have died in the Russian-Ukraine war, 300 of the 500,000 are Russians.
Yeah.
And and part of this is that, you can go back and you can say, I mean, here's a good one. Back in the early 90s, who the biggest advocate for bringing Ukraine into NATO was at that time? And talking to Russia and try to get Russia in it was Joe Biden. Joe Biden early on saw an opportunity with Russia in shambles, but we've blown this so many times. There was talk earlier about, about if you go back and you see what happens when the United States doesn't do the Marshall Plan concept, right? When Germany got, and I'm just going to sound like Joe Scarborough, who does these long history lessons, but just real quick, after World War I, there was a thing called the Versailles Treaty, and they punished Russia. Russia was limited in how they could grow their economy. It was perfect, fertile breeding ground for Adolf Hitler. And Hitler, of course, started a war that killed millions of people around the world. And after that war, the Marshall Plan, and we said, you know what, we should help these countries because not everybody in those countries, like, how would you feel if everybody looked at the United States and thought we were all Trumpers, right?
Right.
I'm not equating Trump to Hitler yet. But anyway, so, what we did was we lifted those countries up, and then we forgot about that lesson in Afghanistan. We left Afghanistan. Half of the country, the mean age was 14 years old. Half the country was under 14, and Osama bin Laden rose from that. So if we allow Putin to do this, we'll make Neville Chamberlain look like a hero. I mean, we literally are in a position right now where the world hangs in the balance. And I don't mean to sound that dramatic, but it's true. And they want to elect this idiot.
Yeah.
And they call even people like Haley's going to calls him unhinged, demented in this interview. She calls him demented.
And yet she would still vote for him. Exactly. Because they have no spine and they don't. It's destabilizing what Trump is saying and the hold that he has on the Republican Party and what he would do if he was reelected. I was watching, the point that you were making regarding how much we would have to put in if NATO dissolved or defending Ukraine. And I was watching Jon Stewart on Monday. I don't know if you saw him because he's back on the Daily Show. And he had the woman from The Economist on, and she was saying the exact same thing that you're saying, that what Trump is saying and doing is destabilizing around the world, and people are underestimating, especially within the Republican Party, the harm that he is doing. Now it's all fine and dandy for Trump to be like NATO should be quote unquote paying his bills, which is a bit rich from a guy who doesn't pay his freaking bills.
Of course. Well, yeah. I mean, you can go down that thing. I love when you go, they got to pay their bills. They got to pay their bills. I'm like, seriously, dude. You know how many contractors in Midtown Manhattan are still looking for that guy for money? And not only that, I mean, you just go forward and see, throughout his whole life, the things he's done to people and the lies that he's made about, his taxes. And, I mean, we still don't know what his taxes are. We still haven't seen those taxes. I mean, they have in the House, obviously, and it was part of, and it is continuing to be part of, an ongoing federal indictment about Trump and his lies. And I mean, now Haley does say, this is to me the most depressing part of this whole deal. Sorry. But she says that, that there's a poll out that says that, that close to 60% of Republicans said they won't vote for somebody convicted of a federal crime. However, that was the pledge they took. If your candidate was convicted, would you still support him? And they raised their hands. Yeah, so, I mean, there is, what a cuckold is?
Isn't that a guy that watches his wife with another
guy? Yeah. Okay. Guy that wants to be just beat down emotionally and mentally. Well, that's what they are in that Republican Party. Yeah. It's a party of cuckolds.
They're a party of abused people, mentally, emotionally, and it's called disbehavior. Now, one final question to you. What do you think the U.S. Supreme Court is going to do? Do you think
they won't hear the case?
You don't think they're going to hear it?
No, they'll kick it back.
Really?
Because the appellate case out of DC, I've read that decision, but most of it anyway. And I read kind of a redacted version that explains what you're reading. You know what I mean? It's kind of like Stephen Hawking's A Brief History of Time. They have to create another book so people can read the book. I did that with this. And I think that there's really nothing that the Supreme Court would look at that and go, we need to address. I mean, everything about it was so carefully worded. And to me, it's like there literally is.
They don't want to get involved in the whole issue.
Look, they know that immunity is ridiculous in this particular case. So giving Trump immunity would, in de facto, give Biden immunity. and give anybody immunity that held a position of power. It's not just the executive branch. Although, and we've talked about this before, when our presidency was imagined, John Adams wanted the president to be called His Excellency. If you guys saw John Adams on I don't know if it was in the book or in the on the HBO series, but so we do have a history of kind of exalting people, in positions of power and executive roles, which I think has dramatically changed moving forward here. I'm one of those people that I would have rather seen a different candidate, but Joe Biden, the economy's kicking ass, inflation is getting killed. We offered a border bill that was a political liability for Biden because it's exactly what the Republicans wanted. Exactly.
Well, they wanted it. They wanted more, and they were never going to be said. They were never going to approve it.
We gave them everything in this bill. We got rid of catch and release, detention, asylum. So if you apply for asylum, you don't get to go back in the United States and come back. No, they hold you until your asylum case, and they kick you out, and they shut the border down. Do you know what a border encounter is? It's just interesting. A border encounter isn't somebody jumping over the fence and ending up in a Starbucks in Boulder, Colorado. A border encounter is if somebody comes up to the gate and says, "Can I come in?" and they say no. That's a border encounter.
That's one, yeah.
So if you get more than 5,000 border encounters in a 7-day period, just 5,000, they can shut the border down. So all of the things the Republicans wanted, and Mike Johnson, this is a guy who was such a pathetic. I bet if you tested his blood, there's zero testosterone in there. This is a guy that gets a little stiffy when he rides his limousine past homeless people. He's a sick person. And so when I look at these people and I think about, moving forward, I'm at such a loss. I'm at such a loss that Biden has done so much, not to mention standing up to Putin and doing exactly what.
But the age thing is not gonna go away, Chip. It's not. Even though Trump is old too. We talked about this yesterday. They're both old men, but it's who we have, unless Trump is out and it's Nikki Haley.
I'm not asking him to play tight end for the Miami Dolphins. All I want him to do is bring together smart people so we can run a country. The presidency is not like like Franklin Roosevelt.
He has a whole staff and administration and everything that helps him. It's not like a one-man job. True.
Yeah. I'm also pissed that Kamala Harris keeps getting dissed too. She's a remarkable woman.
I was talking about this too. If you ask Republicans why you don't, I think the New York Post had an editorial about this.
She's black and she's
exactly.
a woman.
She's a woman and she's black. That is literally all they could say. And I was like, wow, that is some BS right there. It really is. They're like, oh, I'm so scared of a Kamala Harris presidency. She would just be an extension of President Biden. They're not that different. She's been a failed vice president. She literally is just an arm of the presidency.
Yeah, she hasn't failed in any way.
It's so crazy, and it's so sexist and racist.
With our AOC version, like this idea that we have to be this uber super progressive thing. Progress is not a sprint.
No,
progress is a climb.
Exactly.
And if you tried to run too fast up a hill, you'll lose your balance. Sorry for that metaphor, but that's true. And that's what we have to do. We have to take each one of these issues. Probably the most important issue that we're still ignoring is climate change. And that of course will affect our grandchildren's lives. We'll all be dead, but and again, when you have these conversations, we're talking to a president who denies that it exists. And Inhofe, Inhofe, remember the guy that brought the snowball into the Senate?
Oh, was that him? Okay. Yeah. I always forget who that was. Yeah.
So anyway, I think that I still believe that Biden's going to win. I really don't.
I do too. I think that people aren't that stupid.
Trump's trial. I think Trump's trial. He'll be convicted of either the January 6th or the documents crime. And I don't know. Obviously he'll appeal and all that. And if America does elect a convicted felon, then if that happens, I'm not sure we recover from something like that.
We will. I mean, again, it may fundamentally change politics.
Well, why do you think the United States is so special? Trump said the other day, he quoted actually, and he didn't realize it, but Mark Twain, when Mark Twain said the U.S.'s greatest defenses are the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. Right. Of course, nuclear weapons and air travel all changed that, And so now 9/11 changed that. We thought we were impenetrable. And of course, now our greatest concern is not ISIS or Al Qaeda or whatever faction, whether Houthis in Yemen, what do they call Houthis?
Houthis, the Houthi rebels.
It's not that. It's our own people. They're the threat to this country. The irony is thick, isn't it?
It's one of those things where we are still, in comparison to other nations, very young. We have to learn our lessons sometimes the hard way. And I think that Trump is doing that for us. I am optimistic that President Biden will win as long as everything goes, the way that it's going. Hopefully you're right about Trump and his convictions, but we'll see. People have to vote. They have to vote. And if people vote, Democrats win. That's just the way that it is.
It always has been that way. We talked about this before. Bush beating Kerry in 2004 was the last time a Republican won the popular vote in an election. Before that, it was 1988.
Yeah.
36 years. 36
the Electoral
years.
College screws everything up. You know what I mean? The focus on just a handful of states as the only ones that matter is total BS. But
I was going to go to the Electoral College, but they didn't have a football team.
You're so stupid. All right, you, Chip Franklin.
I used to call you. I used to call you something like.
Make sure it's okay.
No, it wasn't a 4-letter word. It was like something like I would say you're plucky. No, it wasn't plucky. It was a word like that. Remember?
It wasn't. You got spit or feisty or something.
No, it was a word that you had to look up. That's why I loved it.
Stupid. There's not a word you called me that I had to look up.
By the way, I'm doing these 8-minute things for the Really American Super PAC, which on YouTube. If you want to see it, every day I do one. It's an 8-minute, 8 to 9 minute.
And the website's what?
Really American.
ReallyAmerican.com?
No, just go. You can go on YouTube. Just put Really
YouTube.
American.
Okay, perfect. I will put it in the show notes after the show. After the show.
Yes, and then of course you can go. You can see my stuff on Twitter as well at Chip Franklin.
At Chip Franklin. All right, buddy. Happy Valentine's Day. Give your wife a big hug and a kiss from me.
I'm gonna give her.
But make it, PG.
I'm gonna give her a little more than that. I'm gonna give her.
Don't be gross.
Chocolates.
If that's what you want.
We've been married 36 years. 36 years. So.
Well, congratulations, my friend. Happy Valentine's Day. We'll talk next week. Bye. Bye. All right. That's Chip Franklin again. Really American. Kim McAllister. So are I called you last night. Let's go back to Valentine's Day, since I was just wishing old Chippy there a happy Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
You were making Valentines with your children.
Oh,
was it just your son? Because your daughter's my age, and we talked yesterday. There's no Valentine. What did you do?
No, it's the son. So I always have these grand plans. We're going to get this done well before Valentine's Day.
And never happens.
The night before Valentine's Day comes, and there's this mad scramble. And now I'm the room mom as well. So I'm making things for the class party, right?
Is that today?
That's today. I'm not going, but yeah, there's today. So I come up with this idea that they're going to do this STEM kind of lesson. And I found it online, and it's basically you go to the dollar store and you buy these candies nobody wants. They're like jelly gummy hearts.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I know exactly what you're talking about.
And then you buy toothpicks, and then you build a beautiful tower. Well, the hearts are gone. They're cleaned out.
Oh, of course they are. You waited till yesterday?
Yeah. Oh. The hearts are cleaned out. There's not even any toothpicks left. So, I mean, clearly other room moms have seen this as well.
Exactly.
They're gone from Target. They're gone from everywhere. So I think, all right, well, what else can you build a tower out of? Gummy bears. So there I am at the dollar store grabbing the packages and packages of gummy bears.
Oh, how funny you are.
But I messed up and I grabbed gummy bunnies. So now on Valentine's Day, they're making Easter towers. Yeah, that's fine.
You could have done Hershey Kisses.
You have to. That's true. I suppose I could have done that. But it needs to be the consistency where you could stick a toothpick in it easily.
Through it, yeah. And I think the Hershey Kisses, maybe if you soften them, but that's just a mess. So, well, hopefully, fingers crossed, it works out. Yeah. I was saying yesterday that I was bummed that my kids don't do it. But I did wake up this morning, like I mentioned, to some flowers and cards and candy.
So sweet.
I was going to buy the kids candy, but I swear to God, at Super Bowl, we had leftover Halloween candy on the table. Wow. So it's like, do I need to add more sugar to my house? No. Did I? Because my husband bought cookies, which I'm so happy he bought. He bought the soft cookies that we all love. And he bought me almond roca, which used to be, when we were dating, I would keep the pink tin of almond rokas next to my bed. That's how I have not had almond rokas in so long. So for my husband to remember and to buy it was really, really sweet. Nice. I want to go see the new Bob Marley movie, which is out today. It's called One Love. So I really, really want to go see that. I don't know if we're going to be able to, because again, it's a Wednesday. Do you know how many, I swear to God, Kim, and I know I always bitch about this. I was in my car at 3 p.m. I did not get home until 6:30. When we talked, it was like what, 7:30, and I'd already left the house again to pick up my kid. Like it never stopped. So, maybe we'll make it out tonight. If not, we'll do it this weekend. It's going to be stormy, so kind of a perfect weather to watch a movie. So maybe we'll do that. Okay, let's do some headlines. I have a couple other fun semi-Valentine's Day topics that we may get to. I do want to talk though about something else we touched on yesterday. And this is really, really sad. Oh, thank you, Beth, for the $10 donation. Happy Valentine's Day, Nikki and Kim. Ron also coming in with some love on this Valentine's Day. Thank you.
That's some Valentine's love right there. Thank you.
So sweet. Thank you for showing the love to this show because we love doing this show.
Yeah.
So after your news, Kim, and you might actually have this in your news, very, very, very sad story about another kind of TikTok trend or social media trend that turned deadly for kids. And while I don't think anybody wants to call their kid like Kim did an effing idiot.
God, you make me sound like the worst mother alive.
No, if I was this mother, I'm sure maybe she did and it just didn't work. But again, it's this idea you have to get across to your kids what's right, what's wrong, and what's dangerous. Also, Mark Farrell, we had talked about it earlier this week about becoming San Francisco mayor. He may have made a mistake as well. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, even though I'm the worst mother, she still gave me this really cool lip gloss for Valentine's Day. Look at that.
What color is that?
I don't know what the color is, but
Slutty
it's Fenty.
pink.
It's Fenty Beauty.
Ooh.
Isn't that nice? Just a little lip gloss. I thought that was really sweet.
You're spoiled by the love, and I love it, and we're spoiled by our listeners and viewers as well. Okay, we're going to talk about that. I have a ton of other stuff. I don't know what I'm going to talk about. It's got to be a surprise, but let's go over some news headlines.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
Well, they managed to pull it together. House Republicans have impeached Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. Makes him the first cabinet official to be impeached in more than a century. Republicans accused Mayorkas of refusing to comply with federal immigration laws when it comes to the southern border. House Majority Leader Steve Scalise, back in Washington after receiving cancer treatments, giving Republicans that necessary vote to overcome their razor-thin majority and get the impeachment over that finish line. Several House Republicans say he committed, Mr. Mayorkas, high crimes and misdemeanors. Things now head to the Senate, where an acquittal is almost certain.
I mean, it's really rich that they're going to impeach a guy for not doing enough about the border in the same breath that they voted against a actual border bill that did something about the border. So they're just hypocritical every which way.
I don't know how they look at themselves in the mirror. I don't know how this works.
They don't. They cover it because they're like, vampires or something.
Speaking of vamp, that's kind of a creepy picture. House Speaker Mike Johnson, Republicans
Wait. That's Mike Johnson? That does not look like Mike Johnson. Are you sure that's Mike Johnson?
Yeah, that's Mike Johnson.
Okay. He looks just odd to me right there. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
He looks like Dracula. Republicans are calling on President Biden to take a cognitive test amid concerns over his mental fitness. House Speaker Mike Johnson, featured here with only half a head, said today the report was kind of fitting, actually. Said the report on President Biden's handling of classified documents shows that he is unfit to serve. Biden's mental acuity has come under scrutiny after special counsel Robert Hur characterized him as an elderly man with a poor memory.
I mean, if Trump takes a mental, what would a mental acuity test entail? I mean,
man, woman, person, TV.
I mean, again, though, you know what I would rather have than a mental acuity test? Tell me how laws are passed, Trump. Like, tell me, and I know that it can be a little gotcha and somebody can, prepare him for questions like that. But it's just, I don't know. I mean, again, like Chip was just talking about, when you're president, it's not just you. But if it's a Trump presidency, it's his way or the highway, you're fired. Remember how many different people he fired when he was president? How many temporary or acting positions he had because people just couldn't stay in the job long enough to make it permanent? He's an idiot.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. As you have mentioned earlier, and here they are.
Oh, yeah.
Uber, Lyft, and DoorDash drivers are striking in cities across the U.S. today as they seek better pay. It is the first strike called since Uber and Lyft went public in 2019. The drivers are expected to picket outside airports and Uber offices. The Justice for App Workers Coalition, which represents about 130,000 drivers, says drivers won't be providing rides to and from airports between the hours of 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. in nearly a dozen cities.
Here's my question about this strike and just about driving for Uber and Lyft. And I know that we probably have people watching right now that has done it or does still do it. Do you think the Uber and Lyft business model can be sustained with human drivers? Because I feel like it's similar to streaming. This is how I see it. We were spoiled when they first launched, right? Oh my God, this is such a good deal. It cost me nothing, right? Compared to a taxi cab, I'm getting this. And so then all of a sudden the drivers were making good money. We weren't paying that much. And then slowly but surely, as it became bigger, the company started, pulling back. They say I found this one article about the strike, and they said since companies started using an algorithmic pricing model, drivers are no longer guaranteed a fixed payout from a ride, and many have seen their earnings decrease. Since 2023, Uber drivers' monthly average take-home earnings fell 17%, that according to Gridwise. 15% of Lyft drivers in the U.S. earn less than 70% of what the riders paid. Now, Uber claims drivers still make roughly $33 an hour, but that's $33 working hours, I would assume, right? Like when you're sitting there and waiting for a ride, you're not getting paid. And
is that $33 minus gas?
Of course, everything
and insurance,
is minus. Exactly.
And wear and tear on your car and maintenance, and you got to wash it all the time if you're an Uber driver, right?
And I understand. I respect the hustle. I respect, I will say when we talk about independent contractors and things like that, I would say that this kind of model, right, of you choose when you want to get behind the wheel and deliver things or pick people up, kind of falls, in my opinion, under the independent contractor. But at the same time, Uber can't take so much of that, and Lyft, of that money, because then you're not going to have human drivers. And that's why I go back to my initial question with this whole autonomous driving. I think they're just waiting for Waymo to really work, because all of you Uber and Lyft drivers are going to be out of a job. Why would they pay humans when an autonomous car asks for nothing?
After seeing the Waymo vehicle lit ablaze in San Francisco, there's no way I'm getting in an autonomous vehicle. Right? Are you kidding me? I need to have control of that thing to get out of Dodge when the S hits the fan. Forget it.
So it's crazy. Although I heard about that Waymo vehicle, and I don't know if you mentioned it yesterday in your news. It was confused by the fireworks. So that's what led it to stop. And then once that happened, it got attacked. But yeah, you're right. I wouldn't hop into one even if I wasn't scared that somebody would light it on fire. Jeez. I want a driver.
It's the second attack of an autonomous vehicle. Yeah. The first time some homeless guy is banging on the doors. And the advice from whatever it was, I think it was Waymo, is, when this happens, you just lock it'll lock the doors and you just stay inside.
No, thank you. As it lights it on fire. No,
and then the next thing we know, a bunch of hooligans are vandalizing the car and lighting it ablaze. Different vehicle, different situation. And no one was in it. But God, imagine if somebody was. How scary is that?
Right. Exactly.
In recent weeks, Los Angeles police officers have spent 3,000 hours on duty guarding an abandoned high-rise from trespassers. Here's what it looks like. This is Oceanwide Plaza in downtown Los Angeles. It has drawn national attention after taggers covered about 30 floors in graffiti. Right. And then earlier this week, a video posted to social media showed someone base jumping off the building. Now they got the cops out there in LA. They've got to station themselves there to watch this abandoned high rise. What a waste of time and energy. And I mean, look at that building. Abandoned? Yeah. Wow.
I know. You would think, I don't know why it's abandoned, so why not implode it, right? Let's get rid of it or use it to build, I don't know, house people that need a house. How about that?
Yeah. Oh, hold on. I'm getting a Valentine's gift.
Oh, hold on. Take the picture down. I want to see it. I want to see it. Hold on. Let's take this down. What are you getting?
I got a giant Hershey's Kiss.
Oh, it's from your husband, I'm assuming.
Oh, thank you. That's really sweet. And I got some flowers. I feel like I miss America.
He was listening. I think he was. Good job, David. Good job.
Oh, what else?
Look at her. It's like it's a never-ending clown car of
And a
gifts.
chocolate croissant.
Oh,
there's no crown coming. No,
I know, right? Don't you have a crown somewhere around there?
You put those in water. I love you. Happy Valentine's Day. Thank you.
Did you get your husband anything?
You know what I got him? You're gonna laugh at me. He's a cook, right?
Okay, yes, we know. Yes,
he loves to bake bread, and we've had a butter issue. So I bought a really nice butter.
Wait. What's a butter issue? What does that mean?
Nowhere to really keep. We keep the butter in the refrigerator, but there's no like safe
butter
place
drawer.
to keep butter outside of the refrigerator where it's not always cold and hard.
Yes,
okay.
Exactly.
So I got him a butter dish, but he opens it 2 weeks ago. So happy Valentine's Day, butter dish.
Oh, was that supposed to be his gift?
Yeah.
You're like, oh, and then he found
like,
it and he opened it.
Yeah,
like, we
yeah.
need to make our butter soft. What did
He's
he
like,
say?
you bought that butter dish for you.
He's like, that is not my gift. You better go into the store and get your hubby a card or something.
God bless America.
Yeah.
All right, back to the news, people. Back to the news. Back to the task at hand. Although that was a nice Valentine's Day diversion. Let's go back to sadness, misery, death, and destruction. Why don't we? Because look what happened in Texas.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah. This is at St. David's, speaking of which, St. David's Hospital in Austin. It was totally damaged by a runaway driver. The hospital's back open now, but a car plowed into St. David's last night, coming to a stop inside the waiting room. The driver died. 5 people were injured. This one was a big mess.
Oh, my God. That's awful. Yeah, that looks like a big mess.
These are the parents of Brian Laundrie. They are now admitting being worried about Gabby Petito's well-being when their son called days after her murder. In newly filed court documents, they recall nervous phone calls from their son telling them his fiancée, Petito, was gone and asking them to find him a lawyer as he drove home without her. The depositions are part of Petito's parents' lawsuit against Laundrie's parents that allege they knew about this murder and they tried to help their son avoid justice. Yeah. The calls happened in August of 2021, 3 weeks before Petito's remains were found in a Wyoming national forest. Brian Laundrie, of course, also died by his own hand. So,
you know, and I don't know if the Petitos and the Laundrie, the parents knew each other well, but I can't imagine looking across at and you both lost your children. Like they both don't have their children. And this whole case is tragedy on top of tragedy. Now, again, if my kid committed murder, like if my kid committed a crime, they would have to turn themselves in. I'm not raising you to be a criminal. Mm-hmm. But I can understand the emotion of wanting to protect them. You know what I mean? Like I can understand it, but no, you have to turn yourself in. I would hope that I've raised a child that would never murder anybody. But at the same time, you know, I hate to say it. It's like, I understand like, what can we do to protect them? That initial panic of, oh my God, what has happened? Maybe a little bit of confusion, but the Laundries went way too far. You know, I can understand waiting a day, having a conversation, not immediately turning your kid in, but then you take your kid down and you have them admit what they did. That's what you do as a parent.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with everything you just said. Your first instinct is probably like, okay, circle the wagons.
How can I fix
what do
this?
we do? How do we fix
you're
this?
panicking too, right? I mean, how many people expect to pick up the phone, hear their child say something like this? Although, given the fact of the history that we've realized between Laundrie and Petito and a possible previous abuse, you know, there should have been a conversation about something like that. But yeah, I don't know.
Here in California, meanwhile, let's get this up. Happy Valentine's Day to y'all.
Ah, yes, indeed.
There's a California lawmaker who wants to require school districts to publish sex education and HIV prevention education materials online before they are shown to children. So, do you want to look at him to, you know, make sure that he's on the same page and talk to his kids about what they're learning at school and make sure that he can reinforce everything that's being taught in the class? No. Newly introduced legislation would require school districts to publish sex ed and HIV prevention education materials online before they are shown to children. Republican State Senator Scott Wilk is introducing a bill that would amend California's Healthy Youth Act. It already requires school districts to make these materials available for inspection, but Wilk's version would mandate they be posted online. His intention for the bill is to foster, he says, a greater partnership between parents and schools in this sensitive subject. No.
I mean, I don't know.
He wants to stir up the pot.
Exactly. He wants parents to be like, why is this in there? Why is that in there? And again, I just feel it's ridiculous to argue about it if your child has a cell phone. Now, if your kid doesn't, right? Like, okay, then you're in this little special zone of, okay, you're keeping everything away from your kid. Although I find it hard to believe they don't have a friend or somebody else that does it. I mean, so my daughter's a freshman in high school. She just had, during her PE this quarter or semester or whatever. So she had to come home. She had to ask us a bunch of questions about past relationships, talking about sex. I answered the question that was asked of me, and no more and no less. You know what I mean? And it, for parents that are confused about that, if you don't feel comfortable disclosing, for instance, your first time having sex or whatever, right? Then just answer the question they ask, because they're not asking that question. You know, they're not asking. They're asking, you know, did you have anybody to talk to? Did it make it easier? Those sorts of things. I don't know why parents are so scared of sex. Kids are going to have sex eventually. And the more you make it taboo, they're teenagers, the more they're going to want to do it. So
yeah, got to talk about it.
Talk about it.
You also got to not slam down, you know, the schools teaching it, because
exactly
it seems to me, and I've seen stories that the numbers support this, that the more you educate kids, the more you teach them about things, the fewer unwanted pregnancies, the fewer abortions. And aren't you all aboard on the no abortion train, right?
Exactly.
Come on.
I think the Dutch, I want to say maybe the Netherlands or somewhere, they talk about sex all of the time, really young, in an age appropriate way, of course, and their numbers are way lower. It's almost as if it makes sense to educate people, not just about sex, but about the emotions and everything like that.
Who would have thunk it? Oh my.
Yeah, right? Oh my God, it's crazy. But,
so here in California, our Healthy Youth Act mandates that school districts provide sexual health and HIV prevention in middle school and again in high school. Wilk told the Sacramento Bee the bill is transparent by granting parents access to it. 2 previous versions of this bill did not pass. We'll see. Probably not. But I guess I wouldn't mind having it online. But, you know, I know what he wants to do.
Yeah, he wants to create problems.
He wants to say, oh, look, they're teaching your kids about trans. Oh, look, they're teaching your kids about how to wear a condom the best way. That means they're endorsing them all to have sex. Oh, look, they're come on.
Yeah, I mean, it's...
And you know what? Thank God they're teaching them to wear a condom.
Well, exactly. And, you know, I will also say this, and brace yourselves, people, but I'm sure many of you have heard this, but also this thinking of sex and losing your virginity and what that actually means. I mean, there is a trend, and I don't know if it's still a trend, of girls claiming that they're still a virgin because they only have anal sex. So it's crazy, in my opinion, for girls to think and to hold certain things as that's still virginity, that means I'm still pure, when the other thing is just as much sex as anything else. And I know it's hard for people to grapple with the idea of their little baby, who they still see as a young child, which, because they are still children, having sex, all different kinds of sex. But it's happening. It's happening, and you need to educate them. So you have to tell them, like, I'm sorry, if you do that, you're having sex. If you do that, you're having sex. It's and stop with this whole, you know, putting virginity up on this pedestal. So that's why we don't talk about sex anymore. That's ridiculous. It's just ridiculous.
Oh, I looked at my daughter last night, and she looks like she came in from she went to a master class bassoon class as part of the symphony, whatever. She walks into the house last night, and I haven't seen her all day. And she walks in, and she's got, her jeans on, and she looks like a woman, like a young woman.
Isn't it crazy when you have those moments and you look at your kid, you're like, oh my God, you're not. And then the Facebook kills me because the memories, right, that pop up, and you're like,
yes.
I sent you that picture. I was talking about my son making a Valentine for his karate teacher yesterday because he always had a crush on someone. And of course, Facebook popped up the memory for me yesterday. And I look at him and he's so tiny and he's so cute. And so, yeah, I can get it. That's the face that I still see. And now you want me to believe that they're having some sort of sex. It can be hard for parents, but you have to accept it.
It's hard to feel like the way to protect them is to teach them, right? Is to show them all the stuff that you've been trying to keep from them for all this time.
It's crazy. Yeah. And Jess says, who cares about virginity? Just be safe. Exactly.
So, and there's also this push, by the way, to not consider virginity, because you're somehow, if you're a woman, you're tainted, if once you have your first time is over, like somehow you're used and whatever. And I just, so whatever.
Well, I just always, and my children have not had sex. We've not had that, that they've disclosed that to me or whatever. But again, it's this idea of it completely changes the relationship. That's what I've led with my daughter specifically is once you start having sex, it's hard to stop, right? Like, it's like the relationship is now consumed by this idea that you need to continue to do it. And in many cases, I'm not saying in all cases, but it's just like, just stay a kid as long as possible, because you're going to be an adult and be able to do these things for so much longer than you're not doing it. So just enjoy the age you currently are, because you're never going to get that back. Believe me, there's never going to be a time where you get summer break, right? Like, that doesn't exist for adults. Enjoy all of these moments because they're fleeting. And that includes sex. It's like, enjoy having a crush, enjoy being, wooed or whatever. Because once you add sex into the mix, not that it makes it terrible, but it changes the relationship.
Yeah, it totally does. Well, from sex education to the best love songs.
Bow chicka wow wow. Let's get it on.
Why is that not on the list? Well, it's because just in time for Valentine's Day, Billboard has ranked the top 50 songs with the word love in the title. Okay. So it has to have the word love in it. I'm going to try really hard not to sing them. The top 5 are 1976's Silly Love Songs.
Okay.
Sorry, I failed.
You're gonna have to, because I won't know the songs unless you kind of give me a little bit of the ditty. Okay, yeah, I get it.
Silly Love Songs. That's by Wings. 2011's We Found Love by Rihanna featuring Calvin Harris.
We found love in a hopeless place.
Okay, good, because I didn't know that one.
Love in a hopeless place. Okay,
I do know that one. Okay. Yeah. 1977's How Deep Is Your Love by the Bee Gees. 1994's I'll Make Love to You by Boyz II Men.
God. Let's just pause, because when I was like in 8th grade, this was always on during the slow dances. Awkward. I listened to some that's I'll Make Love to You by Boyz II Men, and also I Wanna Sex You Up. These were songs that I would sing in the car with my dad. Like, it's just crazy. It's crazy.
Number 1 on the love song list with the love in the title. 1981, Endless Love by Diana Ross and Lionel Richie.
I loved Lionel Richie back in the day too. Wow, those are kind of besides Rihanna, those are kind of oldie songs. I would think that there'd be a little more current songs in the top.
Yeah, but maybe there's not a lot of current songs with love in the title.
I'm trying to think. Yeah, I can't off the top of my head right now think of it. We found love in a hopeless place. Yeah, I guess. Yeah. I guess that's the one. But yeah, it's crazy. The songs that are popular. I listen to some of the songs that my daughter puts on the radio, and I'm like, what in the holy heck is this that we're listening to? So
Julia's playlist is Taylor Swift.
Right, of course.
Classical music and music from the 40s.
Okay.
That's what it is.
I like the, my daughter she was just playing kind of like a 1950s type of song. She's also into like Carly Simon's "You're So Vain" song.
I like
She
that
always
song.
plays that song. I crack up all the time. You know, and some of the, that doesn't have anything to do with love, but like Sublime, they're definitely getting into that whole, our era's music and then before that. So it's fun. John, I don't know if that would necessarily be, I love that song by 9 Inch Nails, "Closer."
Yeah.
That's a good one. What's Love Got to Do with It by Tina
that's
Turner.
a good one.
But that's not like a love song because she's kind of, what's love got to do? Yeah, no.
Got to do with it.
I don't think that's a love song, though. It has the word love.
It has love in the
it.
title.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, I Touched Myself. That was a funny song. I don't want anybody else. Yeah, that's Love Shack. That's a good one.
That's a good one. That totally should have made the list.
That's not a love song, though. That's not a love song.
But it has love in the title. This is the only stipulation.
Yeah. "You Are So Beautiful to Me." That's my dad's
Doesn't
song.
have love in the title.
That's the song that we danced to at my wedding. "You Are So Beautiful to Me."
This was the top 50 songs with the word love in the title.
Do you have a song with David?
Yeah, but I forget what it's called.
Oh my goodness gracious.
He used to play me this song, and he used to tell me, "When I marry you, this is the song we'll dance to." And we did, and it's a country song because I don't really listen to country music. There's a beautiful song, though, about love and just heartwarming song that he loved so much, and I forget the name of it.
So we have a song, but it's like the reggae version.
Okay.
I want to find the name because I'm totally blanking on the because we're doing all these songs and I'm blanking too. "My Love Is Your Love" is the song, but I'm trying to Whitney Houston did it, and "My Love Is Your Love," but it's the reggae version of it.
Okay.
And I'm trying to find the name. Oh, if my husband's listening to me, he's going to be screaming at me right now. God, "My love is your love, your love." But it's the reggae version of it. So that's one of ours. We also have an Anthony B song. I'm so bad right now. I'm being like you. Anthony B song. Water Bumpy. Water Bumpy is our other one. Thank you, honey.
I just had to text him to ask him the name of the song. I'll let you know in a minute. But I do want to say the super chat, super stickers are open, and a huge thanks to Spencer Jaffe, who jumps in with another $5, and then Beth, and then Ron, and then Jim. Happy Valentine's Day to you guys too.
You guys, big hearts to you. And again, if you guys want to support the show every month, please do. Jim, I love you. TheNikkiMedoroShow.com. TheNikkiMedoroShow.com is our Patreon. PayPal links. Go to PayPal.com. TheNikkiMedoroShow@gmail.com is where you send it to. We love being here with you guys, and we want to keep it going, but that requires some crowdfunding. So that's what we're doing every single day.
Gotta do it.
Thank you. You gotta do it.
It's unfortunate. You know, I feel like I'm a news busker.
Yes, we are. We're a news. We're a YouTube busking on the YouTubes, as they say.
But hopefully you get the good stuff along with it, and it's all good.
Got it. Terry Lennon. "My Love Is Your Love." That's what it is. Terry Lennon. Got it. Don't yell at me, honey. I figured it out.
What song did you dance to at your wedding? That was it? Okay.
That version, the Terry Lennon, "My Love Is Your Love." Yeah.
That's really sweet.
The line that I always say, and I didn't write it on this card this year, but when the Lord asks, "What did I do with my life?" I will say, "I spent it with you." That is our thing.
Really
so
sweet.
that's our line for our. It gets me.
I love it.
Yeah. So I figured it out, honey. Don't get mad at me. Okay, let's move on and do some other. So yesterday, Kim had shared a story, and it's kind of funny because it didn't end badly. Okay, about her daughter doing it's a cinnamon challenge, but she decided to use hot chocolate, right?
Yeah.
And swallowed it, and it's very dangerous. And she called her an effing idiot. Hold on, put that back up. Let me read it real quickly. "My husband and I danced to," which translates to "You fell from heaven at our wedding."
That's really sweet.
That you have fell from heaven. See, I love that. You guys can put in the comments your songs, and maybe if we have time at the end of the show, we'll go over some of them.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was thinking of your story of your daughter being not the smartest, doing that hot chocolate challenge.
Yeah.
When I was watching this news report. And again, I'm not making light of, I'm not calling the kid an effing idiot. But again, it's this question of what do you do when you know that your child is doing something dangerous, but they're trying to get the clicks, the likes, the social media nonsense? Because sadly, and this is what kills me, a mom was warned by another mom who had lost her child. Hey, your kid is doing this. And it just happened too late.
This was a tragic case that happened within 2 weeks of yet another one. A young male traveling on top of a BART train at a high speed just outside of Daly City. It was along this line heading out of San Francisco towards Millbrae, just after 9 a.m. on Sunday morning. The male high school student from San Francisco fell from the top of the train as it was moving. Trains reach speeds of up to 40 miles an hour here. Gateway Charter School in San Francisco identified the victim as one of their students, saying in a statement, "We received the heartbreaking news that one of our students died on Sunday. Our condolences go out to the student's family." The mother of an 18-year-old boy who also died last month from the same stunt near the Balboa station had cautioned the late teen on social media just a week ago, warning him of the deadly risk that also claimed her son's life. Even after acknowledging the woman's loss, the teenager continued posting high-risk behavior videos online. Whether it was for likes or the adventure, Sunday's post was his last ride.
The social media world has really complicated matters on how children and young adults, for that matter, sort of mimic behavior.
According to the chair of the Department of Public Health at CSU East Bay, Arnab Mukherjee, social media creates complexities when raising kids.
Unfortunately, that puts a lot of pressure on both families and adults that are close to these children to be able to impress upon them the real consequences of doing some of these actions.
Mukherjee says parents can't caution their kids enough against the dangers of what's online.
We have to be very keen to observe what our children are doing.
Reaction from BART riders was shock.
Someone else said it was like a teenager. I don't know what was going on, but that's like really dangerous.
Exactly. And here's the thing. Do you think that, there was anything more a mom can do besides say, look, you're going to hurt yourself. I see you doing this. So for me, and I know that my daughter's only a freshman, and so maybe I'll feel more pressure, but I've taken away all of her social media. Do you think that this kid, if he didn't have TikTok or Instagram or whatever he was posting on, would have still done it? Like, if you don't have the platform to post it, then why do it? Right?
Are they all talking about it at school? Are all of his friends doing it? Is it like the cool thing?
Yeah, but if you can't post it to prove that you've done it, then what's the point? Right? It's like the tree in the forest type of thing. If you're not posting it on social media, did you even do it? You could just say that you did and not post it. I mean, I guess you could make just a video in and of itself, but I feel like it's for the clicks. Yeah, BA writes, remember the good old days when they were just eating laundry detergent? Yeah. I don't know, man.
Really sad.
It's
they
really
probably
hard.
will, Randy. I mean, yeah.
Well, so sue BART, pardon me, sue BART because there's not enough protection to stop people from going on the top of their trains? Is that why we're suing BART? I mean, do you sue BART
for knowing that a kid just died and there should be security so that,
I mean, is it really feasible to blame BART for this?
I'm sure someone will try to find a way.
I know. I just don't know necessarily if BART's at fault. And I'm not blaming the parents. It's obviously the teenager's fault. They did it. It was stupid. But if I found out and saw video on my child's social media, which also is my other point, you should always have access. I don't care if my kid's 17 years old. I should have access to your social media account if I'm going to allow you to have it. If I'm seeing videos of you doing dangerous things, you not only lose access to social media, you lose access to your phone. Your ass is home. And I know I'm saying this is, again, a freshman. My kid doesn't have a car, right? Isn't able to leave the house, those sorts of things. I know that rope is really tight right now. But it's hard to imagine a scenario in which I know my kid is doing dangerous things and there's not an immediate consequence, especially because it just happened 2 weeks before with somebody else that lost their life. And I don't want to pile on the parents, but what did you do beforehand when you knew that your kid was doing this to stop it from happening? It really it's so freaking sad is what it is. It really is.
You expect them to behave a certain way, and you expect them to be smarter than that.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, when I saw that video of my daughter eating a spoonful of hot chocolate powder, is it going to hurt her? No. But is
she
it
could have
her,
inhaled it, though. It could have hurt her. It could have.
Is it her wanting to fit in with this thing that people are doing, or post a silly video, or what? Yes. And that scares me, because if it's hot chocolate today, then what else is it?
Right.
And so, I mean, I wouldn't have thought. So yeah, you got to check the phones. You got to make sure.
You have to. And again, it's really, it's on the onus is on the parent. It just is. You have to be responsiple for what goes right and what goes wrong, because they're kids. You're raising these kids. So again, my heart goes out to the family. I'm not trying to pile on, but I am saying, if kids are, and I know I'm seeing so many comments, people have been riding on the outside of trains since the coal power engines. I get it that, in our generation, we did so many stupid things. Yeah. There's just no evidence of it.
It's true.
But would we have done more stupid things if we got clicks and likes and the dopamine hit and all those sorts of things? Perhaps. Calvin says people have been doing stunts for decades, but social media did increase the frequency. And that's exactly my point as well. Yes, we got, oh my God, we did X, Y, and Z, and we got away with it. We survived. We didn't do it again, but that's because there was no evidence. And then all of a sudden, in this day and age, there's evidence, there's likes. Oh, do it again. Show people that cool thing that you did again. And now all of a sudden we're risking our lives over and over, or cheating death, or trying to cheat death over and over again, just for the social media clout. And it's stupid, because today it's on trains, tomorrow it's something else. You risked your life for what? For what? Anonymous, TikTok has too much influence, even pushing nicotine patches also to teen algorithms without regulations. I didn't know that.
I didn't either. I don't know.
I mean, I'm annoying in how much I talk to my kids about it, but you can't. Yeah, everyone wants to go viral. You're absolutely correct, Chris. It's stupid. It's really, really, really dumb. I don't know what the movie is where they walk on the train tracks and see a dead body.
It's the baseball movie.
You'll have to narrow it down just a bit. Old baseball movie. They walk down a baseball movie of the Field of Dreams.
No.
Stand By Me.
Sandlot.
Sandlot?
Yeah.
Or is it Stand By Me?
Is it Stand By Me? It's the Sandlot.
It's the Sandlot? Okay, everyone's saying Stand By Me, so I don't know if you're in the... Sandlot is with the ball that they want to get out of the backyard of James Earl Jones. That's Sandlot.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. For some reason, I thought it was Sandlot.
Sandlot
Stand By Me?
I think everyone's, I think it's Stand By Me. I think they're right. Yeah. There you go. But again, Stand By Me, even Sandlot with the kids, roaming the neighborhoods, doing what they want to do, just come home before the lights are on the street, right? Those sorts of things. You just got to watch your kids more. And it's not funny, but it's ironic that we're so connected, yet we can't seem to keep a better eye on our kids in some instances, right? So, I mean, I track my kids. Our whole family tracks each other. We do the Find My Phone. Everybody has access. I can see where you are. And so that's why I think that, sometimes we're too lax. We're like, oh, I could just find so-and-so. I could find my kid with the Find My Phone app, right? But are you watching your kid? Why is my kid, at the light rail station or the BART station right now when they're supposed to be here and there? So it sucks, and my heart goes out to them. And yeah, it's just, you have to keep having those conversations. Okay, let's go to this other headline. Now, when I read this headline, I was like, uh-oh, that didn't really work out for Oakland. San Francisco mayoral candidate Mark Farrell has vowed to fire the police chief on his first day if he's elected mayor. One, I always hate when people say on my first day in office, I'm going to do this. No, you're not. You're going to get freaking elected. You're going to have this big pomp and circumstance. That's what you're going to freaking do. And then you're going to go to your office and do some sort of machinations that are going to make it seem like you've kept your promise. Here's a little bit of a report about his pledge. You tell me in the comments, is this a good thing to telegraph to people that you're going to fire the police chief?
It's been replicated in many cities across the country. We will do it here in San Francisco. to create a 24/7.
Oh, first you're talking about homelessness.
Center, one place that all of our law enforcement personnel, social service workers can take homeless individuals to get them into shelter and get them connected to services that they need.
Okay, I'm going to stop right there. So his first quote, I apologize, was about the fact that he wants to have this one intake center where all of San Francisco's homeless have to go to, so police can basically get them, take them to the intake center, and then get them into shelter. That's fine and dandy if you have the shelter beds.
And he is also focused on bouncing back the city's economy with the unique experience Farrell says he brings to the table.
I also bring 20 years plus of private sector experience in business, in finance, and practicing law. Nobody else has that background, let alone the policies in place and the detailed roadmap that I have already laid forth today on the first day of my campaign to move San Francisco forward.
Farrell previously served as interim mayor for 6 months in 2018 as London Breed's predecessor. Mark Farrell joins 3 others in the race for mayor so far: incumbent London Breed, Levi Strauss-Air, Daniel Lurie, and supervisor Asha Safai.
Farrell also explained why firing San Francisco Police Chief Bill Scott is part of his plan to address safety concerns within the city. Farrell said increasing the number of officers on the police force is a top priority within his campaign. Farrell also says his focus is on finding a police chief who will push hard for the budget to expand the force. And the police department has responded to Farrell's claim that there are not aggressive enough efforts to expand the SFPD force. It says Chief Scott and the city have, quote, faced the same staffing crisis that law enforcement agencies around the country are grappling with. But a new contract with officers, making them among the highest paid in the nation, and the SFPD's recruitment efforts are showing success. Because of Chief Scott's work, the SFPD is on track to graduate more recruits from the academy this year than any time since 2018.
So since 2018, she said. I don't think it's a good idea to say that you're going to get rid of a police chief. No. I think that Sheng Tao has shown that you need to show strength. You need to show the public that even if you want to get a new police chief, you don't telegraph that right now, because what's going to happen if he gets elected, they're going to expect him to fire Bill Scott. Who are you going to put in his place? Who? Do you have somebody in mind? Do you have somebody in mind that the police department's going to follow? Because then you're going to end up in the same freaking situation that Sheng Tao finds herself in which the police department and the city don't trust her to make the right decision.
And how expensive is that search? How expensive is the narrowing of the list and all the background checks? And it's a lot of money to hire a new police chief. And I would argue it's not that people aren't being arrested, right? I mean, it's that police officers, and they've said this for years, they'll arrest somebody and 2 hours later the same person is back on the street doing the same thing. So they're spinning their wheels, and they don't have enough officers. I don't think you can put this squarely on the shoulders of the police chief.
No. Exactly. And again, the fact that the recruitment, the statistic that you just heard, they're going to graduate more recruits than they have since 2018, matters. You need good cops. Work in the streets, work in the cases, getting the bad people off the street, working with the community to improve relations with police officers. What you don't need, and I'm not knocking Mark Farrell, if you live in San Francisco and you like him and you whatever, but I just think the telegraphing, the saying of what you're going to do, given what we've seen in Oakland, especially because of what we've seen in Oakland with getting rid of a police chief as literally almost one of her first things. And I'm talking about Mayor Sheng Tao. And not having a true plan in place on who can effectively replace that person is ridiculous. It's just absolutely ridiculous. And I think that that's his first mistake. Now, what I do agree with Mark Farrell on is something else that he said. And I know that you don't go to San Francisco that much anymore, right? No. But you've seen this.
Yeah.
He wants to bring cars back to Market Street. If you don't go to San Francisco often, you may not be aware of this, but for several years now, 2019 is when it started, they banned private cars from Market Street. So buses, taxis, and things like that can still go down. But there's
in certain stretches
of Market Street. Exactly. But he wants to bring it back because he thinks that when people come and see an empty Market Street on the stretch that there's no cars, that it reinforces this doom loop mentality. I think a no car section can work if it's lively with people. Market Street right there in that stretch isn't necessarily that lively.
This is not, we want our streets to be walkable and pedestrian friendly, and we want there to be no traffic. No. There's still train traffic. There's still bus traffic. There's still traffic on either end of the block.
Exactly.
There's still homeless people laying on the sidewalk. This is not because it's a bustling economic, hotspot.
Right.
This isn't, close down the plaza, put restaurant tables out, and let's bring the people in for business.
Right.
That's not what this is. This is the city of San Francisco and the MTA, and I've said this for years, they are telling us, we don't want you to come into the city. Yeah. We don't want you to drive here. You are not welcome to bring your car here. And how do we show you that? By taking away lanes, by closing down streets, by taking away parking spots, by increasing fines for parking violations, what have you. We don't want your car here. That's what they've been telling me for a really long time. They make it harder for you to drive into San Francisco. They want you to bike in. They want you to bus in. And I get that. That's environmentally sound and friendly. But not everybody can do that.
Exactly. So, and they already make it, a hardship, a financial hardship with all the bridge tolls if you're coming from somewhere besides the South Bay. Now, on the other hand, a city, and I'm biased, but I still think they did it right. San Jose made a stretch of San Pedro Square. They did it during COVID with the parklets and everything, but they've made, and I believe it's decided that it's not going to reopen, a part of San Pedro Square car free. There's barriers. You cannot drive down. But you know what there is at the beginning and at either end? Parking garages. Economical ones too. It's not even expensive to park there all night long. And there's tons of bars and restaurants right there. San Pedro Square has a whole hubbub of bars, restaurants. They show the games. That is a smart, thoughtful area in which people, yes, if they still need to drive in, can, but it's offset by the fact that people are staying there for hours to go to the restaurants, walking in other parts of downtown. That makes sense. Market Street, which has places to work, not just, and as far as it's not a restaurant, it's not a bar, it's not bringing in tourists for that reason specifically, that doesn't make any sense to me. It creates this idea of just what Kim was saying. We don't want your car here, but the businesses are like, I would like your car here. I would like you parked somewhere around here. I would like you to, yes, walking is great, but if it's a hassle to even get close because you can't even bring your car, no one's going to come there. No one's going to come there. So I do agree with Mark Farrell on that. He says it's actually scary how empty downtown is. We need to do everything possible to create throughput and commerce and bring people back and welcome people back to the downtown core. Like you just do. The San Pedro Square, it is restaurant, bar. There is no office building, right? At least not in that particular section. Because we don't want people to go to work. We want people to go spend money and go to restaurants. I showed a video. I was down there for a bike ride that we did. And we always meet with our bike kind of club right at San Pedro Square where there's no cars allowed. We park nearby, we take our bikes off and we ride in. And there's music bikes, they play music, people are dancing in the street. That is what San Francisco, I think, imagines is going to happen, but that's not what is going to happen. There's no buses or
I don't
taxis.
think they ever imagined that would happen. They didn't try to create a bustling business district.
No, they
didn't do anything different. They didn't reorganize the street. They didn't do anything other than just say, we're going to repaint the pavement so that no cars are allowed.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all
that doesn't do anything. And they still let some cars through. Like if San Pedro Square, that whole thing would not work if every, 5 minutes a car came through. No cars, zero, no buses. You can park on either end. Lee Kopp knows what I'm talking about. He says, correct. San Pedro Square, that one block is to be permanently closed. And I love it. And the first 90 minutes of parking in the garage, free.
Yeah.
You want people to stay. People hang out all day. They have music. They have games that are playing in San Pedro Square, outdoor, indoor. It is so much fun. And
Lee also sent me a message I'd like to mention of your theater square in San Jose or your theater district.
Yes.
And I was thinking, here in little podunk Petaluma, we have a movie theater. That's our theater square, right?
Right.
In San Jose, I don't know, did he send you this message with all the theaters and the theater district in San Jose?
I have to check my email. I have not checked.
Oh,
Did he just send it?
No.
Oh, but I'm well
several
aware.
days ago.
I am aware. Yes.
There's so many theaters, and they're all for a different reason. They're playhouses and they're music venues, and they're all these theaters.
Sculpture. There is so much cool stuff in downtown San Jose, outside of San Pedro. Yes,
there's so many theaters there. No wonder it's called Theater District, and they're all like within blocks of each other. It's a really cool city
it
you've
really
got going on there.
is. And I think that people sometimes forget. I mean, where I live, I'm close to Campbell. Downtown Campbell does a bunch of stuff as well. But as far as like art scenes and things like that, downtown San Jose is doing excellent in promoting and having these events, especially in the spring and summertime. It's awesome. It really, really is. And it's one of those things where when you do it right, it can really work. Right? It really can make sense. But when you do something like San Francisco, where it just looks empty, nobody wants to hang out there, right? I mean, nobody wants to. I've never said, you know what I want to do? Walk up and down Market Street where there's no cars.
No, because you know what's going on Market Street.
Exactly.
It's the people you're trying to stay away from. Sorry. That's just the way it is.
Yeah. And I just feel like, San Francisco's done it all wrong. I really hope that they can get it together. I do think that opening Market Street can help. And if they could take a cue from, our lowly city, find an area like that where you can close it off and it brings people there. That's what you need to do. Now, Randy is saying downtown San Jose wish they had a Santana Row. I will say this, while I like Santana Row, and apparently I think they're going to try to do something with Oak Ridge. That's an article.
Santana Row
across from Valley Fair.
Is that not in San Jose?
It straddles Santa Clara and San Jose. It's like if you walk through Valley Fair Mall, you straddle both. There's like a line that goes through. So it's not downtown San Jose though. But Santana Row, while I agree with you, and I've been to many events and I've walked, it's a little hoity-toity, right? Like all the stores are high end, most of them. If I say all, someone's going to send me a list. But they have tons of restaurants. You can't drive like completely through all the shopping areas. They have this grassy knoll that's fake right in front of Sauced, and I want to say there's an Italian restaurant, Maggiano's, I think is still there, and it's across from a parking garage. Tons of parking. It's not a pain in the butt. A lot of people, a lot of traffic. You have Valley Fair across the street, so believe me, it can kind of be a pain in the ass. But once you're there, you're there. But I think downtown San Jose brings a totally different element and a lot more culture than Santana Row does. So, look, I'll take both. I'll absolutely take both. And Valley Fair in and of itself, if you want to go inside a mall, great mall, bowling alleys, movies, the Eataly is there, huge restaurants, high-end, regular stores, all sorts of things. So I know I'm building up my South Bay town, but it's true. San Francisco needs to get it together. San Jose, I think, is definitely more on the up and up than San Francisco is.
Yeah, there's a big difference between making it pedestrian friendly and creating a business district area.
Right.
Versus just wanting to keep cars out for the sake of being environmental. And that's the two different things that you have going on. But since we're talking about traffic, I would like to mention that protesters did shut down the Golden Gate Bridge this morning.
For a brief, like 20 minutes or so, or something like that, right?
Yeah, it was at 7:45 this morning it happened. The CHP went out there. This was an Israel-Hamas ceasefire protest.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. And so they did manage to shut the Golden Gate Bridge down for about 40 minutes, just under 40 minutes. And then everybody got back in their vehicles and left.
Nice.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that the CHP was on there very quickly, so people didn't get upset about it. I have no problem with protesting.
Both directions, by the way, north and southbound 101, both directions.
When I heard that this morning on the news, I was like, oh, this could be bad. But it did wrap up quickly. Yeah. Can I say one more thing about Petaluma? Do you know that at my other job in San Francisco, I work with the daughter of the guy that owns McNear's?
Really? I thought they were selling it.
I don't know. I didn't ask anything about that. Because I asked her, I'm like, where do you live? And she said Petaluma. I'm like, one of my great friends that I do my show with lives in Petaluma. Yeah. And she's like, yeah. And then she was talking about having to work at the whatever. And I was like, oh, what is it? And she said McNear's. And I was remembering Jefferson Graham's tour of Petaluma. And I was like, oh my God. So
it's a very, very hot spot. It's a historic building. It's kind of the center of town. Did she know me or no?
I don't know. I don't think so. I don't want to put her name out here. I'll ask you off air just in case. But yeah. So her dad works, and sometimes she works shifts there. So you've probably seen her. I don't know. I always feel like everybody in Petaluma knows each other.
That's awesome.
You live in such a small town. Okay. So let's do a few more news headlines. And then when we come back, am I going to talk about this? I'm going to decide while I talk. You know what? Let's end it on some Valentine's Day stories, shall we? Romantic connections, new ways to make romantic connections, and a unique way that ends today on how to say goodbye to someone you don't want to love anymore.
Are you going to tell us how to dump someone on Valentine's Day?
I mean, is that kind of heartless?
It's just really heartless.
Might be. All right. Again, give us a thumbs up in the comments. The super chat and everything is live. And here's some more headlines.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
It is brutal on the Nikki Medoro Show on this Valentine's Day. How to dump someone on the day of love coming up. That's what we got next. All right, well, let's get to the news because the second time is the charm for Republicans, House Republicans, in their effort to impeach Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. After last week's vote failed, the motion was approved by one vote. It's believed to be a near certainty that Mayorkas will not be convicted as this thing then heads to the Democratic-controlled Senate. And making a political hay out of whatever. As we mentioned earlier, drivers for Uber, Lyft, and DoorDash say they are tired of working 80 hours a week just to make ends meet.
Yeah.
A 2-hour strike held today. Drivers picketed airports in 10 major cities, including Chicago, Philadelphia, Miami, San Francisco on the list as well. The strike, organized by the Justice for App Workers Coalition, which represents 130,000 drivers.
If you were gonna do any sort of driving hustle, like side hustle, would you ever do Uber and Lyft? I, as a woman, would not feel safe doing it, and I don't know if there's any women that do it. I don't mind doing grocery and maybe like DoorDash, but Uber and Lyft, you're not getting in my car. You're just not getting in my car.
I would have to say that you do what you need to do to survive. And if you're at the, you need to have a job to bring in money, and maybe you don't have a degree or a career that, you can fall back on, and you just need to have a gig just to get that extra money or whatever. You do what you have to do to survive. And if that's the job available,
if you had a choice,
if you
had a choice between Uber, Lyft, DoorDash, Instacart, I don't think I would start with Uber and Lyft. I think I'd start with Instacart and DoorDash.
Going and doing someone shopping for them is more labor intensive than just driving people around.
But okay, then DoorDash. There you go. DoorDash is the winner.
It's going to take more of your time. It's going to take more effort.
Yeah, and they never tip well. You know what I mean? I always hear that they never tip well, and it's all about them tips. So
it's all about them tips. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess if I had to do it, I would do it. Absolutely. Yeah. And Lord knows I might have to do it.
Exactly. That's what I was just thinking. I was like, we should do that.
I'm like, well, how does that work out for you?
NikkiMedoroShow.com. Please donate to our Patreon.
Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell is mourning the death of his sister-in-law who was killed in a car accident. Her name is Angela Chow. She was CEO of a shipping company called the Foremost Group, who praised her as a formidable executive. The U.S. Coast Guard Academy called the 50-year-old a trailblazer in the maritime industry and a true friend of the Academy. So sad that she's gone. Former President Donald Trump's business reportedly could be dissolved this week.
Ooh, that's humiliating.
NBC is reporting the judge overseeing the New York State civil fraud trial of the Trump Organization will make his ruling on the intent and damages on Friday. The judge already ruled that the company, along with Donald Trump Jr., and Eric Trump, engaged in fraud. So now what to do about it, right? And I guess that could mean Trump Organization kaput in the state of New York.
Wow.
It looks like California is on the hook for its shelter program during COVID. Thousands of homeless people began moving into hotels in 2020 to protect them from getting sick. Remember this? Well, cities and counties expected FEMA to cover a chunk of the bill, but the agency says it won't pay for stays longer than 20 days. So who has to pay? California taxpayers. The governor's Office of Emergency Services estimates that will cost the state $300 million at a time when the budget is already tight.
I mean, I would be, but again, blasting Newsom to blast Biden, like what the holy heck? Now, at the same time, I want to be fair. I read in one article about this that they also weren't going to reimburse rooms that were empty. I will actually support that. Okay, we designated all these rooms. We didn't fill those rooms. Then we're not getting reimbursed for those rooms. Now they're saying, well, once we lifted these certain restrictions, you could have, emptied out these hotel rooms. We shouldn't reimburse you for that. Okay. But I feel like we should have known that earlier and we didn't. And that's the problem.
Let us talk about this measles outbreak in California.
Ooh, yeah.
So doctors are on alert as we try to avoid here in California a measles outbreak. The state has already seen 2 cases in less than 2 months. One in San Diego, one in Los Angeles. Compare that to 4 in all of last year.
Wow.
The most recent jump was in 2019 when 72 people got sick. The spread stopped during the pandemic, but it is on the rise again now. This is dangerous. Health officials say more unvaccinated people are traveling and potentially bringing the highly contagious disease back from other countries. Symptoms of the measles include high fever, cough, pink eye, and a rash.
Yeah.
So.
Remember that whole Disneyland outbreak? And people started getting pissed off. They're like, how did you not get your MMR or whatever and get your boosters for your kids and everything like that? Just anti-vaxxers, just like BA said. Thanks, anti-vaxxers.
Yeah.
Idiots.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say this. I'm not counting you that cannot get vaccinated, obviously. I'm not talking about you people.
Talking about the people that make an active choice.
Yes, that are healthy enough to get vaccinated and still don't.
Protect the rest of society.
Exactly, thanks.
Because they don't believe in science.
Yeah.
California has 8 cities on the national 100 list of the worst truck bottlenecks.
Okay.
There's no getting around truck traffic in California. 8 spots are worse than others, and Los Angeles ranks the highest of all cities in the state, starting at Highway 60 and Highway 57. The American Transportation Research Institute puts it in 7th in the nation, coming in 11th, 710 at 105. Ontario ranks 18th for I-10 at I-15. Corona makes the top 100 list. Oakland with 2 of the worst bottlenecks.
Yeah, so, I can imagine that. Yeah, and also we need it I don't know what it is, but our roads, and I know the storms have been awful. We need to find some sort of different material for road paving. And I know that the big rigs really tear up, the weight and everything really tear up the roads. But my God, have you been driving around these? I was driving to San Francisco the other day for work. I could not find a lane where it was not divot after divot after divot. And it's messing up my car. So that's another thing. I mean, we just have to fix our roads.
Newly uncovered documents show the woman who opened fire at Joel Osteen's megachurch had been seeking legal assistance from pastoral staff. Genesee Moreno and her ex-husband had been in a court battle over the custody of their child. That child, who Moreno had with her during the shooting, was shot in the head, remains in critical condition. Wow. This story just keeps getting sadder and sadder.
Yeah.
Another San Francisco theater in danger of closing, Cutting Ball Theater, has started an emergency fundraising campaign. It needs $45,000 by March 1st to stay open, and then it needs another $200,000 by June. The leadership team says they haven't received enough grants. Some lost some major donors, rather. It's a 25-year-old company. They've already dipped into their reserves, and they're now postponing their next production. Again, that is the Cutting Ball Theater.
Yeah, there's a lot of movie theaters because of COVID that have shut down. And you don't even think about it. It's one of those things where, oh, they shut down that theater that you hadn't gone to in decades, right? Like you have to visit these places that you want to survive. That's just what's needed.
Anticipation growing for the possible return of the giant pandas at the San Francisco Zoo.
I saw this video of a panda swinging in a tire swing, and they're like, how is this animal like survive on its own? It looked so cute. But apparently pandas are mean. I've heard that in the wild they're mean. Yeah. They're cute though.
They were last here in 1984. They stayed only 3 months, but they drew about 1 million visitors to the San Francisco Zoo when they came.
They're so cute.
Mayor London Breed is trying to host them again, even asked China's president during the APEC summit last November if they could send us some pandas. The city is on a short list of contenders. If approved, the zoo estimates it could take up to 18 months to get those pandas.
They are so cute though.
Lovers of Pop-Tarts. Are you a Pop-Tart fan?
No, I never have been. Never, ever, ever.
Oh, they are toasting the creator of this product today. William Post was asked by Kellogg's to create a new breakfast product during the early 60s, and what he originally called fruit scones, or scones, became the popular Pop-Tart.
Wait, did you say scones?
Yeah, I did. It's not scone, it's scone. Did you know that? I learned it from a British guy recently.
Are we in British? Isn't this why we wanted to create the United States, is so we didn't have to be so pretentious when we say scone?
Anthony Davis with Midas Touch News was on the Mark Thompson show, and he's like, no, it's not scone, it's scone.
Oh, come on. Okay, well, you're in America, and when you cross over to our side of the pond,
then you can call it scone.
Yes,
yeah.
Exactly.
Post, though, died at the age of 96. So we're toasting him today because
of Pop-Tart.
Pop-Tart.
There you
go.
I'm sorry, Chris. Pop-Tarts aren't good. I'm not one for any of these sorts of things, but what was the other one? Strudel, the strudel ones, the toasted strudels with the flakier crust. Those actually seemed, even though again, I don't eat them, it just seemed like real food. What Pop-Tarts look like cardboard with frosting on it. Like it doesn't even seem appealing to me. So yeah, no. I'm a big old no.
Lastly, this is the craziest thing. Nearly 1 in 5 Americans, 1 in 5.
Okay.
Believe in a conspiracy theory involving Taylor Swift and President Biden.
Oh, about like her endorsing him, perhaps?
A Monmouth University poll shows 18% of respondents think the mega pop star is part of a covert government effort to get President Biden reelected. Among this group, 71% identify with the GOP. 83% are likely to vote for Trump. Pollster Patrick Murray says only about 42% of respondents knew about the conspiracy prior to the survey. The poll also found 68% of Americans approve of the Grammy Award-winning artist, encouraging her fans to vote in the 2024 election.
Well, obviously you should vote. And obviously now again, we've mentioned that documentary, Miss Americana. You only have to watch that to know she's not endorsing Trump. She does not. I've said this before. She doesn't have to come out and say, vote for Biden. All she has to do is talk about the issue she cares about. LGBTQ issues, women's rights, those body autonomy, reproductive rights. Go ahead. She does not need to say the word Biden or Trump at all. So I don't know what the problem is. She was never going to endorse Trump. And then he was like, he had said something earlier this week about how he's done more for her because of like some sort of recording crapple or something like that.
Yeah.
Nice try, Trump. Nice try. Now, is Taylor Swift going to swing it? What?
Should she get political? Should she make an endorsement? Should she use her platform in this election year?
I think she should use it to encourage people to vote. Yeah, why not? Yeah. Why not?
Or
if
should she stay neutral?
I mean, should
not endorse a candidate?
I mean, should any American be like, I'm not political? Weren't you just talking about that the other day?
Yeah.
She's an American. She's a woman. Like, yeah, I think she should be just as political as she feels comfortable.
Right.
But at the same time, she's going to be impacted by politics just like anybody else.
Yeah.
Just because you're a celebrity or a singer and you have a huge platform, maybe you should reconsider the blowback.
Yeah.
But yeah, she should be engaged.
Because she's a business person as well. And she's going to have Trump supporters and Biden supporters and everybody who like her music. So she has to be careful not to alienate people, but she also has to stay true to herself.
I mean, again, I think that Taylor Swift should only do what she feels comfortable with. I think if she is afraid to come out against Trump, that tells you everything you need to know about Trump supporters and how they are as people. Now, if she came out and said, I'm voting for Trump, I think everybody and their mother would be shocked. She doesn't have to.
No,
That's what I'm saying.
she's not
she
a
can
Trumper.
be political, quote unquote, by talking about the issues she cares about. But I don't think she needs to give an endorsement. Absolutely not. No, she does not need to do that.
Do you remember when the Dixie Chicks did, though?
Yes.
And they came out and they were against the Republican candidate.
They were against Bush. They said, I'm ashamed
that
that
he's
afraid from our state. Yes.
They got a lot of hate. Yeah.
Again, Republicans. You're not saying Democrats aren't just as talkers as anybody else. But again, it's this idea of if you talk bad against Donald Trump or whatever, I'm going to destroy your records, or I'm going to, okay, not because you already bought it, so I don't give two craps, right? So it's like, it doesn't actually matter. I don't think she's going to endorse Biden, though. I don't think I don't think she has to. She just needs to talk about the issues. And if you support Taylor and the way that she sees the world, you're obviously going to vote for Biden, in my opinion.
This report is sponsored by you.
It is.
And we're so grateful for all the support of the Nikki Medoro Show. Find us at thenikkimedoroshow.com. It's thenikkimedoroshow.com. And then you'll see the Patreon link to click through, the PayPal link to click through. All of that information is there for you. Thank you for supporting this show. I'm Kim McAllister on the Nikki Medoro Show.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you. And happy Valentine's Day to everybody. Let's go over some of these songs that you guys have mentioned. We had mentioned earlier that the best love songs, but it had to have love in the title. And then we're talking about what we danced to. Murphy says our first dance song was Bobby Darin's More Than the Greatest Love the World Has Known. I love this. The last verse starts with Longer Than Always. And we signed that on our cards to each other. I love that.
That's really sweet.
My husband and I text each other or write in our cards lava from that Pixar cartoon, I Lava You. Yes. And so we write lava to each other all the time. Amy says our first dance was Elton John's Your Song. I love that song. I love that song. Our song is Thank You by Led Zeppelin. I don't know it off the top of my head. And I bet if I played it, hold on, let me see. Thank you, Led Zeppelin. Okay, let me see. I'm just going to listen to it in my head really quickly. I can't think. Of course, there's an ad in my head. No? Led Zeppelin. Come on, give me some lyrics.
I don't know.
But I'm looking on YouTube right now. Hold on. Oh, yeah. I'm not going to sing it, though. Little drops of rain. Whisper. Okay, yeah, I get it.
Phineas says, favorite old dance romantic song, Eric Clapton, Wonderful Tonight.
You Look Wonderful Tonight. Yeah, that's a good one. Eric Clapton, Do You Look Wonderful Tonight? It's one of those put on her makeup, that song, right? Yeah, it's just such a good song. It is so nice.
So I texted my husband, what's the name of the song we danced to at our wedding? He sends me back a broken heart emoji with the words, you forgot? It's called Forever Is As Far As I'll Go.
That's a kid. Who's that by? I've never heard that song, I don't think.
God, I don't know. I don't even remember the name of the song. You want me to remember the artist?
I mean, didn't you have to tell the DJ or whoever at your wedding to like play the song?
Yeah, I had a guy with a ukulele at my wedding.
Did he play Somewhere Over the Rainbow?
Yeah, he might have.
Yeah, that's a good one.
He played Surfer Girl. That's my song with my dad. I remember that.
Oh, yeah. Baby Love from the Supremes. Baby Love, my baby love. Yeah, that's a good song. Let's see what else. Moose, Me, You, and Us. I don't know that song. Don't know that song. I don't think I've ever heard of Moose either. So forgive me. Love to love you. Okay. Love to love you. Let's see what else. Whole lot of love. Got a whole lot of love. That's not your wedding song, right? That's a fast one. I guess it could be.
Yeah.
My first ever slow dance was to Journey's Open Arms. That's a good song.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so hard sometimes. Oh, it's by Alabama, by the way, Kim.
Oh, he's playing. No, we can't have music on the show. You gotta. That's really sweet, but we can't have music on the show.
They'll ding us. We can't hear it anyway.
I think it's by Alabama. I'm like,
yeah, that's what Janet was saying too. It's by Alabama.
Yeah. I'm sorry that I broke your heart on Valentine's Day.
On Valentine's Day, Kim.
Yeah, I know. I'm the worst wife.
But sometimes
so
what have we learned?
What have we learned this week about me? I am the worst mother and the worst wife.
No, you are not either, and we all know it
Fail.
as well. Not okay.
Loser.
No. All right. Well, let's keep it in the love kind of realm.
Yeah.
So apparently, dating apps. I can't imagine you feel me on this all the time. Thank God I'm married, because there's no way I want to deal with dating apps and swiping and all sorts of things. Well, apparently there's this new, I don't know how new it is. It's new to me. How about that? And it comes actually from an old episode of Sex and the City, where I'm putting this in quotes, single people show up at a bar with their former partner to find a new partner. So apparently this episode of Sex and the City, Charlotte throws a soiree where people come and have to vouch for the person they were with. So your old partner becomes your wing person, basically. Okay. And so it's kind of like,
that's weird, but okay.
Who's going to vouch for this person? Well, think about it. Like, so let's just say you're still on good terms with somebody, but they're just not for you, right? Like, oh my God, you're such a great person. You're just not my person. Okay. Right. But you want to, and you're still friendly, or you're friendly enough. Right. And so you go to a bar and they're like, so-and-so, oh my God, he's so great. He plays the guitar. He loves to hike, and maybe you're not a hiker, right? Loves to hike, loves to take you on morning hikes, loves to do this, that, and the other. And you vouch for them. I love this idea, because instead of going to a bar where, like, you don't know if the person's just putting on a show for you, right? Like, all right, he says or she says that she's like this, but how do I know that they're telling the truth? There's literally somebody with them that, like, okay, let me just tell you about Bob. Bob, he's going to do this really quirky thing, but honestly, it's really cute. You'll get over it. But he makes the best bacon and eggs or something like that. I could see me trusting.
If Bob was so great, then why isn't that person with Bob?
Well, because come on. How many people did you date and it didn't end badly, but they just weren't your person, right? There was just something where, like, I don't hate them, but we did our time and they just weren't my forever person. I'm sure, John, nobody asked, so why did you dump him? But dump him or her, I'm sure that question is asked. And that's why I think it's a good idea. Why did you guys break up? Well, I moved away, or I don't like guitar playing. And maybe the other person's like, oh, I have no problem with that. Or I'm not, in the same part of my life as they are. They're ready for a family. I'm not ready for a family. Whatever the myriad of reasons why people break up. And it doesn't have to be like he's a cheater, because I don't think that they would be communicating anymore. Right. So you wouldn't have to necessarily worry about that. Yeah. It could just be, look, they're not my person. They're a great friend. It just didn't work out for us. Or maybe, you know what? I cheated on him. And I'm with that.
It wasn't their fault. It was my fault. Yeah.
You never know. Tony says, if you can go find another person with your past love, was it ever love? No way. I don't know if that's true. I've been in love before I got married.
Well, they say every relationship, every love is a learning and growing experience that leads you to
exactly
who you are, who you become, right?
Exactly. And it's not just romantic relationships. I was literally having this conversation with my daughter the other day, and she was talking about how a friend that she had falling out with years ago and her are friendly again. And I said, and they had a really bad falling out because, they weren't obviously being nice to each other. And I said, do you think that she's a better friend to you now because of what she learned from your guys' falling out? She's like, oh, absolutely. And she's apologized, and, we've made, amends and all that sort of stuff. So I could see we're making amends. We're not going to date again, but I do want for you what we didn't have. And so let's go to a bar and meet people. I don't know. I think it's sweet. I like it. It wasn't me. It's you. I love that.
I can't find the article now, but I was reading something last night about dating apps and Tinder. Specifically, they mentioned Tinder and how dating apps are not as popular as they once were, and that maybe they've seen their heyday and they're kind of on the downward slide.
Yeah, I hope so. I don't think that it's healthy. Again, I always call it the cheesecake factory effect. The menu, is too big. I'm never satisfied because I'm like, but look at this page. Oh, look at this page. Janet says, I would totally be a wing woman for an old ex. We dated a long time ago and we're great friends now. See, that could happen.
It's true.
I don't know. I mean, I think I saw this one video again on social media, speaking of Tinder, and I don't know if it was Tinder that they were on. She's talking to a guy, right? And they're like FaceTiming, but she could see the reflection in his phone that as they're talking, he's swiping. Like, you see what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, he's just giving you the heads up. He's not for you.
And also, like, how much do you know about a person through a dating app? And eyeball to eyeball, people, eyeball to eyeball.
Yeah.
And when it doesn't work out, you could do this last story that I'm going to do. And today is the last day to do it. So if you're heartless enough to break up with somebody on Valentine's Day, you know, sometimes
I know it's the day of love, and I've decided I don't love
you. Exactly. But sometimes you can let them down a little bit easier. You know, they say, the way to a man's heart is through their stomach. Well, sometimes the way to break up with them is through the stomach as well. Pizza Hut launched its Goodbye Pies campaign earlier this month on February 6th. It ends today, though. It lets customers order a free Pizza Hut delivery to the address of an ex-lover. Customers can go to goodbyepies.com to order a hot honey pizza for delivery to their long-gone partner or soon-to-be ex.
A hot honey pizza?
I don't know what the hell a hot honey pizza is.
What the heck is that? It doesn't sound good.
It doesn't sound good. The campaign is centered on the release of the new pizza, including a hot honey pizza and hot honey wings.
Oh.
So I would assume it just has hot honey on it.
Okay.
And so
what is
hot
it?
Honey.
So there's something spelled out on the pizza like you suck or it's
like
over.
Goodbye.
Sayonara, sucker.
Exactly. So I guess you can decide whether your intentions are sweet or salty. You can leave your personal touch on the Goodbye Pies order, as the program includes the option to write a customized message to your ex on the delivery box. So
imagine getting broken up with by pizza.
I mean, you could drown your sorrows in delicious pepperoni.
It's like, thank you for this last parting gift.
I mean, what is the worst way that you broke up with somebody or were broken up with? Do you have any of those?
No, I had one of those on again, off agains.
Yeah, those always suck.
It was like you couldn't just kind of cut that cord. There was this back and forth, and like it wasn't a clean break at the end. It was this lingering thing. So that was a bummer. But no, other than that,
I've only been broken up with really once, and it was the worst breakup of my life. Like it was my first love. Like when we talk about, he was my first real boyfriend. Like we were together a very long time. And we decided we had met at camp. And so we decided to go back to camp as a couple and work it as a counselor. And so I'm stuck there because I'm working and he breaks up with me and I am devastated. I am bawling. I'm stuck here. I can't get away from them. I'll never forget. And my mom always reminds me of this fact because she's always like, your brother loves you. Now I'm all the way in Yosemite. And I call my brother from a payphone, like on the, the 7th day of me crying nonstop from this heartbreaking breakup. Yeah. And I'm like, you have to come get me. You have to come get me. I cannot be here another day. And he drove all the way to get me from camp. And I will never forget it. I'll never forget where I was standing in the phone booth. I'll never forget having to go to my boss and be like, I just can't stay. I was so heartbroken. Like I can still remember how heartbroken I was and just, and he did not dump me for another camper. He dumped me for another counselor, which was just as awful. But, and then you know what? It wasn't even the counselor that I thought he should have gone for. It was this other counselor that I did not think was as cute, but it was like, whatever, fine. But yeah, I'll never forget. Devastated. I've never been as devastated of a breakup than your first heartbreak. And so yeah, if he would have sent me a pizza, at least I could have eaten something. I don't know.
There it is. The goodbye pie. Imagine having your name written on that. With love, Amelia.
with ex-love, your ex-lover, your ex-boyfriend, right? Now Tony asked a good question. Would my ex-boyfriend from back then be a good wingman? I don't know. We don't talk. So I have no idea, and we don't know. Obviously, I was a teenager when we dated. It wasn't any adult breakup. So I don't think so. I'm trying to think of my adult breakups were, again, not as heartbreaking. Your first is the most heartbreaking in my opinion.
Yeah.
But could I be a wing woman for any of my exes? Absolutely. There's maybe one or two that I'd be like, I don't know, stay away from this dude. But I would say that most of my exes, they're not terrible people. They're just people I don't want to date anymore. So
yeah,
and there's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, your first heartbreak, always the worst. So if you're gonna break anybody's heart today, be gentle. Maybe do it with pizza. If I was gonna be broken up with, I want booze, I want ice cream, I want, I want to be fooled. Like, I want you to show up. Like, I want somebody to deliver like this whole thing of yumminess that I can just drown my sorrows in if I was going to do that.
I'm going to break up with you, but here's a bag full of stuff.
Exactly. All right, you guys, we love all of you, and we love all of you for being here each and every day. Thank you to Jim with the $5 donation. I hope everybody finds their Cupid, he writes. Yep. Thank you, Jim. Love you. Ron, thank you so much for the $20 super sticker. Beth, a happy Valentine's Day to you, and thank you for the $10 donation.
Happy Valentine's, Beth.
And Spencer with a $5 donation. Thank you, thank you, you guys so very much.
To all of you guys.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, Kim's going to go love on her hubby that she just broke his heart in many different ways for not knowing their song. I, on the other hand, remember it, honey. So do not vilify me for briefly forgetting the name of the artist of our song, because I did.
In my defense,
no defense.
He sings it in my ear in this low voice that he has, my husband, and makes my knees weak when he does it, and I can't remember anything.
Oh,
so,
that's good. That's good, my friend. That's remember that, David. Remember, she just said that. All right, you guys, go to thenikkimedoroshow.com. Sign up for our Patreon. We really do appreciate it. Thank you so much for everybody that donates to the show. And we're 100% crowdfunded. So if you could show us some love, we appreciate it. All right, you guys, we'll see you tomorrow. Stay here for Mark Thompson and the After Party Live.
Bye.
I love you.
Like a beautiful blossom, you're also the best. I really can't rest. You're all so awesome.
Wow. Okay.